Well, for more on this, we're joined by Reaney, editor of the news magazine Lviv Today. Lee, warm welcome to you, as always, to the News Hour. Some very interesting comments from Volodymyr Zelenskyy today. Essentially, Bakhmut, which seems to take on more and more significance as the war goes on. Essentially, he's saying, don't give Putin an inch or he'll take a metaphorical mile.
Yeah, and you actually cut out some of the comments that he made during that particular interview, where he's talking about how the Ukrainian society would view the loss of Bakhmut, and that it would tire out the society who has been working so hard and so long to keep that center. This has been a center of fighting since July last year, so 8 or 9 months. Right now, the Russians are losing a lot of their key fighters. The Wagner group that is there right now, a lot of them are prisoners, and they signed a 6-month contract. And when their contract is done, then they get to leave. They get to go home. Their sentence is done, and they're free men. And so if they were able to make it through those 6 months contracts, which most of them are ending right now, they are just leaving the battlefield. And so, that combined with the Russian losses, I've heard upwards of 75,000 casualties. That's not dead, that's dead and injured, but 75,000 casualties in just the last month alone. So there's fierce fighting there. The Russians are still approaching the center. They do have the city, the community, or what's left of it, encircled. But they've also stopped attacking it as much as they have in the previous few weeks. And they've opened up another line, another offensive, not far away from there, just a few dozen kilometers away, in a place called Avdiivka. And so you might see a split in forces. Ukraine is not entirely sure what Russia's doing with their forces right now, but it is not quite as fierce as it has been for the past few weeks.
And a real sense of urgency from Zelenskyy, as there usually is, it should be said, in regards to Bakhmut and the Eastern Front and the potential spring offensive that we keep expecting to escalate. What's the general mood amongst the people in Ukraine, though? Because clearly a quick victory for Zelenskyy would be incredible, but the fear is that this war may just drag on and on.
Well, I would say that there's a lot of hope right now in the country. A lot of people are waiting for the spring offensive. I mean, Bakhmut is not out of the woods yet. Ukrainians still want to hold onto that city. They want to make the Russians pay for every inch of ground that they try to take out there. I've heard 6 to 1 are the casualties for Russia compared to Ukraine. They've lost so much of their armored equipment that they've actually uncrated. They've gone in, if you've seen Indiana Jones, at the end of the movie, they go out and they have all those crates. They've actually gone into their warehouses and uncrated 1940s era tanks because they just don't have the armored equipment. And at the same time, you see that tanks are rolling in from Spain, from Poland, from other European countries right now, from Britain. The first challengers have arrived in the past few days. Some armored equipment from Germany and Sweden are arriving in the next few days, and from France. And so Ukraine is just waiting for this equipment to roll in. They're waiting for the weather to clear up. The General Staff said today that they expect that the spring offensive will probably happen closer to May, because they want to wait for the ground to sort of not be as wet. And they just want to wait for all these shipments of tanks.
Lee, we thank you, as always, for coming on the News Hour. Lee Reaney there joining us from Lviv.